It's not every day that a company contacts me out of the blue with something that I never thought I would see, but that's the case today. If you've already seen the thumbnail, then you know what this is, but at this point, I only know that someone decided to put a PC into a Cybertruck. I can't wait to see if it actually works. So let's start by doing an unboxing of this beast. I wasn't sure how big this would be based on the renders that they showed, but this thing must be huge if this is the side of the door. That large brown box holds this truck and its padding. This truck is supposed to be a computer. I don't know how it's going to be a computer or where the computer actually is at this point, but this also had a smaller box. That box holds a 100-watt power supply. Let's start by trying to put this into perspective in terms of size. Here's a smaller car that is around the size of a Hot Wheels car. This is only slightly larger than the tires on the Cybertruck. And here is a slightly bigger scale model of a car that I know many of you guys are going to recognize. This Cybertruck PC dwarfs both of them. The first thing that I was wondering is whether or not it's even possible to move this truck, and it actually is. It moves just like you would expect. The truck has a protective film over a large sheet of transparent plastic, and I'm just going to keep this on for now so I don't scratch that surface. I don't know what parts are fully articulated yet, so we'll just have to go through and check one by one. It looks like the hood works, as do all of the doors. This profile shot gives you a better idea of the wheel size. These tires are made out of rubber with a plastic rim. They also seem to be able to turn like an RC car would. It really just makes me feel like they just converted an RC model into a PC. The top frame feels robust, but the top half is mostly plastic on the outside. Here's a closer view of the front. We have two spots for lights, but I don't know if those work yet. This is easily the most interesting and the weirdest PC that I've ever seen. The back of the truck has a second set of lights that also seem like they would turn on when the PC is on. This tailgate seems like it should fold down, but it's locked in there right now. I'll see if I can get this to fold out in a bit. Under this bumper, you will find the ports to the PC. We have DC input, a USB port. No idea if this is 2, 3, or 3.1 at this point. An HDMI port, 2 USB Type-C ports, and a headphone jack. It turns out that the back does fold down. It even has a working ramp for some strange reason. That's about all there is when it comes to this being a truck. Now let's turn this on to see what we can really do with this. I did run into a small issue. They shipped this to me with a US plug, but I'm not in the US right now, so I have to see if I have an extra plug lying around that I can use for this video. Crisis averted, I found a spare that should work for this review. Let's get this thing plugged in, and I'm hoping that the front lights will work. Okay, so I'm not going to go too far into this first boot because I only want to see if the lights work. I have this plugged into a portable monitor right now, and I'm using this handheld mouse and keyboard connected to the USB-A port. Now it's time to turn the truck on. Let's just plug it in and see what happens. It just dawned on me that I have no idea how to turn this on at all. It should have a button somewhere.
Oh, you turned it on.
As you can see, it booted right into Windows, which is kind of strange. All right, let me showcase that full sequence. I have this plugged into power right now, and the screen is in the background. All you need to do is press down on the front to turn on the PC. I was looking around for a power button, and I was just like wondering if the shocks in the front acted as a power button, and they do. The lights go on, and the screen in the background should change from blue to the boot logo. The cool thing is even the tail lights work. Here's how it all looks with my studio lights off. The only issue is that there doesn't seem to be a way to turn these lights off. We need to open this up to find out what they did with this. On the bottom, you'll see another USB port. Based on the color, this would be strange if this is a USB 1 port. Who really knows? I don't. This truck came with zero documentation. We have air exhaust behind the front tire, and it seems like there should be enough of a gap between the vent and the surface, but we'll need to run a benchmark to know for sure. The SSD is on the other side, and they are using a thick set of thermal pads. These vents near the back tires make me feel like this has internal speakers, but I didn't see an audio device when I booted this up. When it comes to the SSD, we have a 1TB 2280 drive. Let's fast forward the teardown to remove the top shell. Now that I have that off, I can see that the inside appears to be a cast magnesium frame, and this accounts for a lot of the truck's weight. This is a ton of work to go through to make a Cybertruck PC. There's not a lot going on under that frame. We have a small daughter board on the front that seems to drive the 4 lights and the USB port. The good thing is that you could just remove these cables if you didn't want those lights. We need to be very careful going further so we don't break the back taillight boards. Everything else should be under this seating area. This final bit is annoying. To be able to finish this teardown, we need to remove a ribbon cable on the bottom of this small PCB. That connector really should be on the top. This is kind of dumb. Dumb engineering. Finally, here's the money shot. It turns out that we do not have speakers in this, even though they have an area for the speakers. I'm not 100% certain that this is a custom PC because I've been sent engineering boards to evaluate processors before they are released in some products that I've worked on, and those boards look very similar to this. Plus, this thing has a ton of connectors that are completely useless in this application. So I think they just repurposed an existing design and just worked out that a Cybertruck would scale down far enough that it would fit the existing board. Anyway, we have user replaceable RAM, which is cool to see. The bad part is that you need to do an extensive teardown to get to this point. The fans in the copper pipes are pretty big, so this should be able to handle what this processor can do as long as airflow isn't an issue. Let's take a look at that now. I'm using this portable monitor in wireless mode right now, and the signal should come over when I turn the truck on. All we have to do is press down on the hood of the truck to power it on, and it should sync up. And there we go. This is my fully configured system, ready to go. I just need to adjust the scaling of the UI to fit this smaller screen. I'll also have the full specs of the truck on screen now that this is fully booted up. We need to run this truck through a benchmark to check out the thermal performance before we can take a look at games. A couple of interesting things that I'm seeing right away. Our TDP showed up as 60 watts for a second before it dropped down to 54 watts. At 54 watt TDP, the fans in the truck are audible from where I am. At this point in the test, the fans are maxed out and I'm seeing a reported CPU temperature of 100 Celsius. And just to give you an idea of how the fans sound, I'm going to place the mic near the bottom of the truck. The benchmark finally wrapped up, and this is the score that I got. I'm going to hop into the BIOS now, and I'm going to cap the TDP to 30 watts. I tested 40 watt TDP off camera, and that gave me a max temperature of 82 Celsius, so I feel 30 watts will be much better with way less noise from the fans. Now our max TDP is 30 watts. It's running 40C less than it was before, and the fans are much better. This processor has huge diminishing returns over 28 watt TDP, so this is a nice compromise. After finishing this test, 30 watt TDP is what I will go with on this. It's more than adequate for what this processor can do. When it comes to performance testing in games, there are no surprises here. Even though this is a Ryzen 8000 processor, it uses the same GPU as the 7840U or the Z1E and the ROG Ally. Anything those can do, this truck should also be able to do. The only bad thing about this release is the timing isn't that great. The next generation of mobile Ryzen chips has a better GPU, and that is what I've been personally waiting for since AMD decided to do a lazy refresh on Ryzen 7000 with AI slapped on top. I didn't even plan to review any more Ryzen 8000 PCs, but these guys pulled me back in with this super niche product. That's basically all there is to this Cybertruck PC. This has beefy specs, and the performance is there. The truck model alone is good, so I can imagine this is going to be pretty pricey. I don't know any pricing information right now, but I would be shocked if this thing isn't going for north of $600 for what this has. The only thing that stands out to me is the 50 watt TDP performance. Everything was fine after I set it down to 30 watts, so it probably comes down to a bad application of thermal paste, or it's an airflow issue of hot air under the truck. The company told me that the truck should run at 80 Celsius at 54 watt TDP, and I asked them to rerun the Final Fantasy 15 benchmark to see what they get. If I get a response, I'll add it to the pinned comment, but I'm personally fine with 30 watt TDP regardless. Now, one of the cool things is I think I might be able to give this away, but I'm not sure right now. If I can get this company to cover the shipping logistics, then I will post about this on Twitter. If you aren't following me already, you can do so, or you can just keep an eye on it over the next few days. The requirement's gonna be something super simple, like just telling me that you want to win this on a future post talking about the giveaway. I want this thing to go to a good home. If it stays in my house, Taki Jr. is more likely to just use this as a toy truck than as a PC. So I would like this to go to someone where this hardware would be an upgrade over what they already have. That would make me happy. But feel free to let me know your thoughts on this strange PC hybrid down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see another, take a look at a recent video that I did on PS3 emulation on Android. That's also pretty cool. Happy gaming, everyone. Taki out.